friends, welcome back to the Quack House. My name is Anna and I am the maker behind Quack House Crochet. If you are new here, welcome to the flock, and if you've been here before and if you've watched the 2 other videos I posted up on my channel, welcome back. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button, leave me a comment down below, like this video, do all of the things, right? That really helps for the growth of my channel. And it helps me to bring more content to you and to get more ideas of the types of videos that you guys like to see, so that I can hopefully continue to grow and build this channel into something that's worthwhile for you to spend your time watching. I just wanted to preface this by saying that I had every intention of doing this challenge while not having ever been asked to, because I'm new and I really didn't think anybody would tag me, and I was like, I'm just gonna do it myself, right? Like, I'm gonna invite myself to the party. And then I got really excited because I woke up one day and I had some Instagram notifications, and Christine over at What's Up Cupcake Crafts had actually tagged me in her post, in her story, because she had done this challenge and actually tagged me to participate. So I was super excited. So I've actually already kind of filmed a part 1 of this, and I'm going to go ahead and cut to that right now. I wanted to come on today to do the first part of my hashtag share the love IG challenge. This is a challenge that was started by Stacy over at Stacy Makes, or Apple Tree Boutique Stacy Makes, and April over at the Cozy Buckeye. They started this challenge, and essentially what you're supposed to do, and I'll make sure to pop the details up somewhere or put them in the description box, is that you are supposed to find 5 free patterns on Instagram, and you are supposed to make them, follow the makers, and then share your makes, and then shout them out, and then tag some other crochet friends who would also be interested in the challenge. So I actually did tag some of my crochet friends to participate in this challenge. The first one was Crafty Guam, and she's phenomenal, and she has already completed her challenge, so I needed to step it up and make sure I got mine done. And the other one is Crochet with Mimi. So if I never mentioned it before, I was born and raised on Guam. My mom is local to Guam. I'm local to Guam. Well, you know, I'm in Arizona now, but I very much consider myself an islander. So I really wanted to incorporate some Guam crocheters into the mix, just to show some of that island love and that island support. But I really love the spirit of this challenge because it's all about helping to acknowledge and grow and support these pattern designers and these pattern makers and these small business owners who, you know, despite the challenges we all face as small business owners, are still choosing to release material to us for free. So I will make sure that all of the pattern designers' handles and names are listed, like I said, either up here or down in the description box below. Also, actually, let me show you something. In the spirit of free patterns, this pattern right here is actually this part of the pattern, right? Like the actual like form and structure. This is a free pattern by Crafty Guam. It is a latte stone, and this is if you are from Guam or if you are from the Mariana Islands. Look at all the fluffs. This is a very iconic thing, right? It's it holds a lot of historical significance. These latte stones used to be the foundation of houses back in, I believe, ancient Chamorro civilization. All of my Guam history buffs are totally gonna come for me in the comments because I should know more, right? Because I'm saying I'm a Pacific Islander. But this is a free pattern for all of my islanders on Crafty Guam's Instagram, and she also has a free keychain pattern. So, you know, I display mine proudly in my office because this was the first one I make, and I was very fortunate enough to be a pattern tester for her. So this is my little slice of home that I keep with me from a Guam raised, Guam based local crochet pattern designer, and it just holds a really special place in my heart. I'm actually working on 2 of these for a family member, and this little guy here was like my own little kind of addition to the pattern. So fun fact, my mascot in high school was the geckos. I know, go geckos, go to my GW friends, right? It's so funny because it's like when you think of something fierce and mighty, you're not like, ooh, a gecko, but hey, we made it work. And our colors in high school were purple and gold. So this was kind of like my little ode to all of my former geckos. This was actually also a free pattern on Instagram by Celestial Bee Crochet. It is a no-sew lizard. It was super quick to make, very quick market make. So these are free patterns that you can find on Instagram by Crafty Guam and Celestial Bee Crochet. I should mention that the other part of this challenge is that the patterns that you make, they have to be new to you patterns. So you should never have made them before. So I would include, so these are kind of bonus ones because I wouldn't consider these part of the challenge just because I've made them before. Well, this is the first time I made this one, but I was a pattern tester for this one. Let's just jump right into it, shall we? So this was the very first thing that I made. It is an F-bomb. I was actually inspired to make this by Kara over at Not Your Mama's Crochet. This is not her pattern, but I was watching a Palm Street Live that Kara was doing, and I saw these F-bombs and I thought they were hilarious. And it turns out it's a free pattern. Yeah, so this is a free pattern. The maker is so fluff and cute. She is on Instagram, but when you go to her Instagram page to find this pattern, it'll actually link you to her blog. And she actually has or to her website. And she actually does have a few other free patterns on her website that are really cute. And when I have time, I'd like to go back and make some of them. But this was the one that I had my eye on. I used Elise Voluto and a 6mm hook for the body. I used the Mainstays chenille in gray with a 5mm hook for the little fuse. I just like tied some acrylic yarn to the top of the fuse and then brushed it out a little bit. Guys, this was so easy. I think it's one of those things where it's like, if you make it once or twice, you're good. You've got to memorize. It's a really quick make. I think it honestly took me like 20 minutes or something to make it, and that's the first time, not including the embroidery. This, I just embroidered like the F on it, and I've actually seen, come to think of it, I've actually seen Robin over at Notting Hook Crochet make these, and I believe she Cricut cuts or like uses felt and cuts out a nice clean F, but I kind of like the grungy look of how the embroidered F is. But yeah, this is just a fun little pattern. I am going to be taking this to my market with me tomorrow, just because if nothing else, I think it'll be a really fun little thing that people talk about. Again, worked really, really quickly. You start with the magic ring and you just increase out and then decrease down. Very simple. You surface crochet the little fuse in. And I just think this would be like a fun little like shelf sitter. Maybe not for an actual office, but like former HR professional here, so I'm thinking about this, right? Definitely go try this one out, because if nothing else, like I said, it's just kind of a fun little conversational piece. It's not very many rounds, so I'm curious to see like how small it would work up if I did it in like a worsted weight yarn and maybe attached it on some keychains. That might be kind of fun. I don't know. I guess that's something I'll play with, something to play with and to keep in the back of my brain. But yeah, this is the F-bomb by So Fluff and Cute. The next pattern I made was one that I have had my eye on for the longest time, and it's just, I don't know why it's just taken me forever to get to it, but it is these cute little baby frogs from Mom Stitchetti. This is such a good market make, and it's such a quick workup, and I really like it just because it really does look like a cute little froggy. Look at how cute it is. It's absolutely no sew. Again, just a really quick like little market make. So I used Premier Basics chenille, or the chenille brights, I can't remember. They come out to this cute little like palm size, and I used a 6.5 millimeter hook and some 14 millimeter eyes with this guy, and same thing with this guy, the Premier Basics. I believe these are the brights, and a 14 millimeter eye and a 6.5 millimeter hook. I should mention that for all of these patterns I'm showing you, this was my very first like venture, I guess, in trying to yarn under. So I was doing the yarn under, yarn over technique. For some reason, my hand can't wrap itself around the second yarn under. These are super quick little makes. The pattern only has 11 rounds in it, and like I said, it's completely no sew. These are little baubles, and the only thing that took me long, like the feet are made when you chain out and you do like a little puff stitch, and so that took me a minute just because I'm not used to working in puff stitches. I'm used to working in baubles. So it took me a little bit to like wrap my head around it, and then to wrap my head around doing it in like a chain. But they're so cute and they are so quick to make. The third pattern that I made were these cute little rainbow chunky bees. They're so cute. All right, so I know these bullet bee patterns are everywhere, right? They're, when we first learned to crochet, for a lot of us, this is the very first thing that we made. This pattern particularly was by Chanel's_crochet on Instagram, and it was intended to be a rainbow bee. Now her pattern, or the bee that she made in her photos, is more pastel-y, but like I said, I bought a whole bunch of, well, I bought at least one skein in all of the like pretty primary colors of the Premier Basics or Chenille Brights. I forget the name of the yarn, but I had every color needed to make a rainbow, and I just think they came out so cute. I love how bright it is. Plus it's June, so it's Pride Month, so I wanted to have, you know, something like, I wanted to have something to offer. For the wings, I don't have any Premier Basics or Chenille Basics in white, but I did have the Loops and Threads Fluffy Flex in white. So if you look closely, all of the wings have these little flecks of color in them, and I was so proud of myself for thinking of that. I was like, ugh, trailblazer. No, but I thought it was so cute to like have the little flecks of color in the white wings with this just such a colorful body. I love these. So obviously it's been some time since I've recorded that last video. I want to say it's been about a week and a half. And in that time, I've had the opportunity to watch more creators make videos like this. It's really nice because you get the chance to see other makers, and of course all of the Instagram patterns are coming out. But then I also realized, I don't know, I felt like I was kind of copping out because I felt like I was doing patterns that have already been done before, or they're variations of things that are done frequently, like a rainbow bee. So I went back into like my older saved posts, but I also went and stopped by Chronically Abby's page. So she has been rounding up the free patterns forever. She even like breaks them down, so you've got like a summer edition, a Christmas edition, a Halloween edition. She's really gone and like done the work and like tried to break that down as much as possible for you, right? Which I think is really cool, and she's been kind of sharing the love for forever now. So definitely recommend you go and follow Chronically Abby on Instagram. So I'm really happy with the patterns I found for this second part of the challenge, and I'm so excited to share them with you. And we'll jump right into that because my daughter's down for a nap, and if you're a toddler mom, you know, you just don't know how much time you have when they go down for those afternoon naps. You know how you get like a case of the aggressive cutes, or what is it called? I've heard it called cuteness aggression. On Guam, we have a word for cuteness aggression. It's called makoday, and it's basically like, for lack of a better term, something is so cute you just want to smash it, right? You want to punch it in the face. which probably isn't the best description of it, but you get what I'm saying, right? So anyway, as I was making this pattern, I got major magota. I got major cuteness aggression. And it is these right here. Look at them. They're so cute. These are Ghouls, and this is a pattern by the Knit Knots. It's underscore the Knit Knots, both spelled with K's, on Instagram. These are they're so stinking cute. And like, I'm in the Southwest, right? I'm in Arizona, so you gotta have like the Western themed stuff. I used some Sweet Snuggles Light and some Chanel Home Slim and a size 6 hook. Those were my tools of choice as I was making this pattern, and this is about how big they came out to. So in the pattern, and I'll try and put like the pattern photo, like the cover up here, she makes a white ghost with a pink hat, and I was like, oh, I've got the perfect like pink shade to make that hat. This is that Sweet Snuggles Light bloom that looks like little flowers as you work it up. And so I just thought like, that's so, I don't know, it felt really Western to me. It felt very appropriate to use. And then I used 14mm eyes. This is also Sweet Snuggles Light or Chanel Home Slim in terracotta for the little belt. And then I just embroidered a couple of strands of like silver for the buckle. So I did that really girly one, and then I did like, you know, kind of like a more neutral or boyish color one with like just a traditional white ghosty. I love this pattern. It's so stinking cute. In the cover picture, there's like a little belt, and I decided to go ahead and put the belt on because when I showed this to Ducky, when I showed it to my daughter, I was like, baby, what's this? Right? Because that's how you know, like if something looks like what it's intended to look like, because a 3-year-old will tell you. So I said, baby, what's this? And she said, oh, it's an octopus cowboy. And I was like, halfway right? So I put the little belt on it and I showed it to her again. She still thought it was an octopus. So maybe if I do this pattern again, I might just add like a round or two in the actual body to make it a little bit longer. But I think it looks like a cowboy ghost. There were no instructions on how to make the little belt and buckle, but it was super easy. I just chained about 27 to 30. Basically, it depends on like how generously you stuff these guys. And then, like I said, used some silver yarn and just passed it over the middle a couple of times to embroider like a buckle. Again, pretty low sew. All you're sewing on is the hat to the body, and then doing a little bit of shaping for the hat. You do not need to stuff the hat. This is not stuffed at all. And then if you decide to do the little belt detailing, that's a little bit of embroidery and sewing. Like it's I don't even know if I would technically really call it sewing. It's like a little bit of like embroidery and fastening it to the actual ghost itself. The next pattern that I have for you, I think is actually a really great find. And it's kind of phenomenal that it is free, because I think there's so many possibilities for customization, and I think there's so much potential to do these for markets. And let me just show you what they are. These are the 4-in-1 Disney balls by Mint Me Gurumi. Let me see if I can get Minnie kind of stationed there better for you. So these are so cute. So I only made 2, but they're called 4-in-1s because in the pattern she also has adaptations to make Donald and Daisy. So stinking cute. I used Parfait Chunky and a 4.5mm hook. I actually think this pink might be Big Twist Posh, but I'm not sure. And these took 45 minutes a piece to make, and that includes like the embroidery, these little ears. The little ears for Mickey and Minnie you do have to make separately. On the Donald mod, there's a little hat that you can make, and then you also make a little bow for Donald, you make a little bow for Daisy, and then I will say Daisy has a skirt and Minnie doesn't have a skirt. I don't know why that is, but I wanted to follow the pattern. So these are so cute, and I just kept thinking like, man, it would be so much fun to see like what other characters you can use. Like if you used like a yestard, like if you used a mustard or a yellow on top and the red on the bottom, and maybe even embroidered some lettering. You could do Pooh. I'm pretty sure you could use that Donald hat to make like a Goofy mod, and then maybe just make some like little long floppy ears. I think that would be so cute. Or you could do like a blue and a purple and then make a detachable tail with a little bow, and that could be Eeyore. There's so many possibilities for these guys. I just think they're so stinking cute. And I was kind of looking at these. So the maker, Mint Mikurumi, on the pattern photos that she shares, she actually states that she used a 5-ply cotton yarn and I think like a 3mm hook or something like that. So these are obviously bigger than those. You could make those very, very tiny, but I think these would still be kind of cute as like bag charms. So I may actually put some like hardware on these. I mean, if you can carry around a Labubu, I don't see why you couldn't carry these around on your bags. So I think these would make cute bag charms. Or you could also go the route of like doing more Christmassy ones, like having Mickey, you know, and putting like a little Santa hat on them, and then adding some hardware and making these like Christmas ornaments, or even just making them as they are and adding those ornaments for like a family who are Disney lovers and they want to do like a Disney themed tree. So much potential with these guys. Okay, so the next one I'm going to show you is probably, I'm not gonna lie, this is probably one of my most favorite things I have ever made, and I just think it's so clever. There were so many clever, cute little details about this, and let me just shut up and show you. So it's an apple, right? It's just an apple. It is not, in fact, just an apple. Oh, let me see if I can show you his little face. There he is. It's a little worm in an apple. So cute. So this is the mystery apple by, I hope I'm saying this right, by Hugurumi Toys. And I saw it and I was immediately like, yes, I have to make this, and I'm so glad I did. And my daughter just loves it. She gets the biggest kick out of this. You make this little red cap, I guess, the little red cap. I'm picking off fluffies. And then you surface crochet the stem and the leaf in there. Now when you do that, you've got a lot of like danglies hanging, and I remember thinking like, oh no, how am I gonna hide this as I have to sew it, right? Or how am I gonna like hide all of these ends in? So that was definitely a trust the process thing. And then the way that she makes this little worm is so interesting. I'm gonna do a horrible job of explaining it. You just gotta go look at the pattern. But essentially what you do is, you know, you start with a magic ring, you do a round or two, I think you do like a round of 6, and then you increase, and then you take those 12 stitches, and essentially what you're doing is you're dividing them in half. Again, I'm doing such a horrible job of explaining it, but luckily it is a free pattern, and you can go and you can check it out for yourself and see exactly what I'm talking about. And she does a really good job of explaining it. The way that she does it leaves you with like this cute little curl, and then you actually don't stuff the little wormy, and it's kind of cool because you leave the open part, or like you leave the top of his head open, and that's actually where you can stuff all those yarn tails in, because you don't stuff this little worm otherwise. And I will say, kind of by the time I was done with like the cap and the stems and the leaf and the worm, I was like, I don't know if this is a good market make. This is kind of intricate and it's turning out pretty small, but like the apple is done in almost no time. Again, all of this took me about an hour. Yeah, it took me about an hour, and I only made one, so it's my first time making the pattern, and it took me an hour. I want to talk about his little face for a little bit. So obviously this is way too small to get safety eyes into, and in the pattern the maker actually embroiders the facial details, and for the life of me I could not. I just could not get my fat fingers to work with me to embroider face details on this little guy. So what I did was I took some puff paint. This is actually a trick I learned about from Katie at the Celestial Homebody. So when she's making Labubu's and you make those little like little white eye detailing, she said, there's no way I'm cutting felt that small, so I just used puff paint, and I thought that was genius. So when I make my Labubu's, I do them the same way. I cut out the white, I cut out the black. I don't have a Cricut, so I cut all of that out by hand. And then I use little white puff paint to just kind of pop some little eye detailing in there. And so I just used the black puff paint to get the facial details on this guy. I waited, I made it dry, and he's cute. The last pattern I have to share with you is by crochet.chronicles_, obviously on Instagram. And it is, this is a nod to Christine over at What's Up Cupcake Crafts, because she did like the whole bag charms thing, but it is these guys, these cute little bouquets. They're little mini bouquets, and what I did was I just popped them on a keychain. These are so quick. They're such a quick make. They're a great scrap buster. I think the thing I like the most, so I'm currently in the process of making one of those big viral like bouquet blankets, and that is a process. That is a process. And I think these kind of give you the satisfaction of having something like that, but in 15 minutes as opposed to 15 hours. As a matter of fact, I liked this pattern so much, and I thought it was so easy that I made multiples. Yeah, so I did, I tried to stay pretty basic with the bottoms. I did just some white bottoms, and I got 3 different color leaves, 3 different color flowers. And then I actually did some with like a brown bottom because I thought it looked kind of cute, kind of like craft paper, you know, like those really like boutique-y artsy places you go to and they have like the brown paper. So I did some with brown bottoms, and again, just the same 3 different colors of green that I used for the leaves, and some different color flowers, different color petals. The great thing about this is that the maker, when they posted this to Instagram, they actually are showing you via the video. And so I just watched the video and kind of crocheted along with them, obviously pausing for each new round. But they have the video, and then they also have the written instructions on the bottom. So if you're a more visual learner, you've got the video tutorial right there for you. And if you're a very simple, like, I just want to read it and get to it, you've got the written instructions down below. And the other great thing about it is that it's such a quick workup. Like, that is 5 rounds. Essentially, by the time you've done it once or twice, you've got it memorized. And so, like I said, that was such a quick make, and it's just so fun because you get to like play with colors and choose all these different colors, choose like your favorite flower. It's very personal, it's very customizable. Now, the pattern actually calls to make like a longer chain once you're done with the end. So it calls for a chain of like 51 or something like that, and the intention is to make it one of those bag charms that you like don't need to attach any hardware to. I kind of liked the idea of putting some gold hardware on it, so I just made the chain a lot shorter, and then attached my gold keychain hardware. But you know, if you're just starting out and you've got a ton of acrylic yarn and you don't have any of like the extra stuff, that's a great option, because literally all you need is the acrylic yarn and the hook. So I'm excited to take these to my market this weekend, and I'm actually really hoping that they sell well, because if they do, this is such an easy make and I can make tons more of them. The other thing about this, okay, so I talked about like the big viral blanket, but I've also made like the little flower coaster situation before, and this was really easy to make up until you got to the flower portion of it, right? Because these flowers actually take quite a bit of time to make. I would love to try this project again, but to do it in the way that they did like their, not so much the leaves were fine, but to like do it in the way that they do their flowers, because I think it would be so much quicker. Obviously I would do it in cotton yarn instead of acrylic yarn, so that it can absorb moisture and things like that if you're going to be using them as a coaster set. But I just think you would get like more bang for your buck this way. That project would go by a lot quicker if you're using the method that this maker teaches you or shows you in that video. The other thing that I did was after I folded them around, because obviously these are going to be keychains, I just put some hot glue up the seam and then I just tied it with like another little piece of acrylic yarn. It's so dainty. It kind of falls into that little like coquette trend I think that's going on. But again, I don't know if that's just you put a bow on something and it's coquette. But I mean, they have bows, so it fits the aesthetic, right? I want to take some time out to just say a very quick thank you to all of the makers who take the time out of their day to bring free patterns to the world. I think it's such an admirable thing. I want to shout out Christine from What's Up Cupcake Crafts. Thank you so much for tagging me to do this challenge. You know, when you're just starting out, and it doesn't even have to be like on the social media platforms, like when you're just starting out a new business or something that's new to you, the growth is slow going. And so for somebody who I consider like an established pattern tester and YouTuber and Instagram poster to like take the time out of their day to like recognize me and like tag me in something, like make my heart so happy. So thank you so much. So if you don't know her, if you've never checked her out, please go and do so. She is What's Up Cupcake here on YouTube. She is What's Up Cupcake Crafts on Instagram. And if you are a crocheter, definitely check out her shop. In April's latest video, which was her dinosaur roundup, she mentioned that, you know, if you're a beginner YouTuber and you want to make crochet content, like this is a great challenge and it's a great way for you to kind of start your channel. And I think that's absolutely the case because it gives you an opportunity to, again, share the love with all these new pattern makers, but it also gives you kind of something to talk about when you're still trying to find your rhythm and figure out what it is you're doing on your channel. So thank you to April and Stacy for figuring this all out and for getting it going so that we can shout out these amazing makers and build even more community, get them more acknowledgement, but also for, you know, trying to help out us noobs as we figure out social media and content creation and things like that. For my challenge, right, I mentioned I think in the first part that I wanted to challenge Crafty Guam. She has already finished her challenge. She finished it weeks ago. So make sure you go and check her out because she also has a free pattern out on her Instagram, which is that Latte Stone pattern. I'm actually really excited to announce that I have launched my Etsy store. That's right, it is officially open. And as of today, I have made one sale. It's not a lot, but you gotta start somewhere, right? If they're open to it, if they have the capacity to, I would also like to extend this challenge to Kristen over at Cheerful Chaos Crafts. She is Cheerful Chaos Crafts here on YouTube and on Instagram, to Adriology, and to Not Your Mama's Shop. They are all on Instagram. They are all lovely, lovely creators, lovely, lovely makers. So please go and follow them as well. And I am so excited to see what they will come up with and what they will make. That's gonna be it for me. Thank you guys so much for stopping by and for checking out my little channel. All of the makers that I mentioned in this video will be listed in the description box below. Make sure you go and check them out. If you have a hankering for a crochet plushie or just want to support me, you can also check out the link to my brand new Etsy shop down below. Maybe you'll be sale number 2. Thank you so much for joining us and for being part of the flock. I'll see you next time. Bye.